Guys, we got to talk about this Laura Fryer video. This Laura Fryer video is pretty interesting because essentially the title of this video is HR needs to stay in their lane. Now, immediately when I saw the title for this video, I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. I wonder what she's going to talk about. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you guys want to see more content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join me every single day, 9 p.m. over on the main channel, where you can catch me live every single day, 9 p.m. Eastern. I hope to see every single one of you there. Now back to the main video. HR needed to stay in their lane. I can only imagine she's going to be talking about how, unfortunately, a lot of corporate studios have had HR departments that have overstayed their welcome, or at the very least have overextended their, their capabilities, let's just say. So I kind of want to see what she has to say about this, considering she was in the business for a very long time. Let's check this out, and let's see what Laura Fryer has to say. And I'll make sure to link her video in the chat once it's over, so you guys can go check out her channel, check out the video, give it a like, all that good stuff. Let's go.
A big problem, and it's slowly ruining the games that we love. Today, we need to talk about why the eggshell culture is killing the games industry. Comments like tyranny through politeness in HR. There is no such thing as critical feedback.
Bro, tyranny through politeness. Tyranny through politeness. Wow, bro.
It's get in line and ignore multiple giant elephants to spare someone's feelings. And the toxic positivity walking on eggshell culture has hurt the industry and the customers who want these games.
And keep in mind, that's not just an HR thing. That is not just an HR thing. The whole toxic positivity nonsense, I'm sure it is bred through HR, and I'm sure it's encouraged through HR. But, that is a problem that's through the industry through and through, all throughout. Not just
a toxic positivity vibe. You weren't allowed to say anything, apparently internally, about this game.
You see, somewhere along the way, we stopped having passionate debates about the games, and we started focusing on feelings and safe spaces.
Right.
The result is this eggshell culture where nobody says the obvious thing out loud because they're terrified of the HR call. And on top of that, all the layoffs, it's just making it worse. And it's not just a game problem, okay? It's corporate America. HR has always been there to protect the company. That's not news. That part didn't change. What changed is leadership has handed the keys to their culture and their studios over to HR.
That's a huge problem. That's exactly the problem. Right? HR was always there to handle the dirty work and protect the company, but the culture of the company, the culture of the employees, the essence of what makes the company tick, that shouldn't be in the hands of the people that do things like HR. HR is already HR is already a place that most people don't want to go, unless you're my chat that loves to go to HR for some reason. But aside from that, like it shouldn't be controlling your culture, because the moment it does, it is going to be the most fakest toxic positivity bullshit culture that you could possibly imagine yourself in. And nobody wants to be in that scenario, because all it does is it forces people into a bubble that they don't ever want to come out of, because at that point, if you even dare go outside of the bubble, forget about it. It's over. You're gonna be exiled. You'll be fired immediately.
Imagine a world where HR is not just a support function, but a catalyst for innovation.
Ew.
A world where HR leaders are not thought of as the policy police, but as visionaries shaping the future of work.
Ew.
So today, I want to talk about how that happened, and I want to share some real-world examples and ask whether or not there's a way back to an environment where people can just talk about the game and have constructive debate.
Nobody wants whatever the fuck that woman was just selling. Stay in your place, bro. Like, realistically, stay in your... This is what happens when you got certain departments that think they're fucking God. And it's because they're usually the ones that control whether you live or die at a company. And once these women in HR get this level of power, it goes to their head and they start to think that they're visionaries or some shit. You motherfuckers aren't visionaries, bro. You're not visionaries. You're just HR, bro. Like, push the paperwork and relax. Let's stop the nonsense here. Stop
I
the power
believed
trip.
in these people. And when human beings are treated in a way that they are capable of more, they rise to the occasion.
If you'd asked me 20
my
years
God.
ago if I'd be
She felt so powerful saying that. She's like, yeah, if we just treat these people like humans and we give them the opportunity to be more, then they will be more. Oh, you're such a visionary. You're amazing at this.
making
Wow.
this video, I would have laughed out loud. I loved my HR team. They gave good advice and they were very helpful. Okay, I had some real people problems and they dug in with me and we were able to solve them. We had the same mindset. We knew that we were there to serve and support the team, to support the people making the game. For example,
When can we send HR to HR? Can we send HR to HR? Is that possible? Like, is that a thing? Can that be? Like, what happens when HR needs to be investigated? This is a bad pause, by the way. I'm sorry to whoever this guy is. We got to send HR to HR.
I remembered one guy on my team was totally dropping the ball. I spoke with HR about it. I was coaching him. Eventually, we ended up moving him onto a team that wasn't shipping in the near term. Years later,
Oh, so you actually held the guy accountable? Wow, I know. That's like a crazy concept these days. What do you mean you held somebody accountable at the studio? What? That's not allowed. Well, I mean, if he's a cis white male, then I guess it is allowed. You're allowed to hold him accountable. But, you know, if it's anybody else, then no, you can't do that.
he was back to shipping, and I found out that what had happened was that he was going through a tough divorce. So HR really helped. They got him into a role, a less demanding position, so that he could work through it. It was a win for everyone. Fast forward 15 years, and I'm arguing with my HR team because they said posting a job titled Senior Technical Artist was considered offensive.
What?
She was worried that it would offend elderly people.
Oh, my God, bro. What? What? What old person? What fucking... Are you kidding me? What old person is going to look at a position called senior technical artist? They're going to be like, oh, wow, that's really offensive. Why would you call that senior? Are you fucking kidding me? And on top of that, too, chances are the older the person is, the less likely they're going to get offended by some of the most bullshit, like, oh my God, dude, there's no way that's real, right? There's no way that's real? That's real, isn't it? Holy shit, dude. Wow.
At first,
You're just making up problems. You're just really making up problems. Like, it is literally HR making up problems to justify their existence. There's not a single person on this planet that ever got offended at the term senior. Wow, bro. All right. Anyway, I guess.
thought someone was
Wow.
playing a joke on me, but it was real. Now imagine how the technical art lead felt having to have that conversation about something that was clearly so ridiculous.
That's insane.
But it wasn't just my office. It was
Wait, so somebody actually pulled... Wait, so HR pulled an employee into the office over the titling of a senior technical artist? I'm not gonna lie, bro. If I got pulled into the office for some bullshit like, hey, man, you know, calling it senior technical artist is offensive. Honestly, I would have laughed my ass off right at that office. If I would have got fired, it is what it is. It is what it is at this point. Because there's no way that you're going to sit me down for a serious conversation. There's no way. I'm not even kidding, bro. I've had similar conversations like this. Not over this. But I'm so serious. Like, I'm gonna look at you. I'm going to look at you like another adult and be like, you really having this conversation right now? This is real? You try to call this this is real. This is what you're finding problem? Nah, bro. Just fire me now. Just fire. And that's why Hypno had to become a YouTuber. No, bro, just fire me now because there's no fucking way. There's no way that we're having this conversation as two supposedly grown-ass adults. There's just no way that's a thing.
It's everywhere. This was a calculated shift happening across the entire HR industry, celebrated at events like Disrupt HR.
Oh, God.
You see, from my perspective, what happened is that HR decided that the day-to-day work of actually helping people wasn't enough. They wanted a seat in the executive meetings, and they got it.
That's what it is. That's what it is. They weren't happy just being pencil pushers. They weren't happy just handling the paperwork. They weren't happy just, listening in on the tough conversations. They weren't happy with any of that. They had to be visionaries. They had to be people that were involved in making the decisions. They had to be the ones that just pushed themselves into more and more power. That's what it was. They wanted more power. They didn't have enough. Okay, they wanted control over the people. They wanted to make it feel like, they were kind of controlling people by strings. That's basically what it was.
Today, most executives have HR sitting in, influencing decisions and driving cultural change. And a lot of them want to run the entire company.
I have a dream.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
I have a dream that HR is...
Oh, anytime a white woman comes on stage and says, I have a dream, they should throw a tomato at her face. Throw a tomato at her face, brother. What are you talking about? Really? You're trying to quote Martin Luther King? You're so fucking cringe, bro. I have a dream where HR can be the one in control of everything. I have it. Shut the fuck up, bro.
I have a dream. I have a dream that HR is at the top of the organizational chart, and they are either as important or more important than the CEO.
Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up! Are you kidding me right? I want to vomit. Like, I literally want to vomit. This is actually most people's worst nightmare. I'm not even kidding. This is most people's worst nightmare. Just go push your paperwork, bro. Stop thinking you're so fucking stunning and brave. You're this, like, visionary. You're so important. Oh, we're bigger than the CEO. Shut up. I'm not gonna lie, bro. This is pretty good rage bait. This is pretty good rage bait. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little bit rage baited for sure.
And I think we can make this a reality. Who is with me?
Nobody.
Yes.
All I hear are women in that crowd. Why am I not surprised that all I hear is women in the crowd demanding ultimate power within a company above everybody at that company so they can decide the fate of everybody at that company that they don't like? Why am I not surprised that that's the case?
Remember, these are people who often have never made any artwork.
Nope.
They've never written code. They've never shipped a game. And in fact, many of them have no real interest in technology or gaming.
Exactly.
So it was an accident that I went into the video game industry. But to answer your question about if I liked games growing up, I never thought of myself as someone who liked games growing up. But like once I entered the gaming industry, I kind of thought back about it. And like I did love playing with like my little Game Boy Advance.
But this power grab, it isn't surprising.
It's so funny how many of these people just magically got into the gaming industry. So many of these people just accidentally somehow landed at the doorstep of a gaming studio. It's amazing how that works, It's almost always women, by the way. And in the same breath, they'll try to convince you that 50% of gamers are women. And meanwhile, all these women are admitting that they somehow accidentally landed in the gaming industry. It's not the first time we've heard something like this.
Okay, this is how it works in big companies. Everybody wants more influence. That's very natural. The problem is that HR's core job is about reducing risk. And so their focus ends up being about optics and safety, right? Not results, not making great games. And it appears there's this new idea that's taken over where HR people think that they know people better than anyone else in the organization.
That's true.
Now, why HR? Because people are at the heart of every business challenge and every business opportunity that we'll face in the future. And we are the experts and people in our organizations.
Why is it that HR always has these fucking gay-ass photos like this? Why is that? They always, like, if you ever look at all these corporations and you go to the HR departments, there's always these like fucking fake bullshit, gay, like just Hakuna Matata fucking like complete bullshit where they make like hearts out of all these like multicolored hands, or they'll do I hate this shit. It's so cringe, bro. It's so cringe. They and you know what's funny? Anybody who's worked a corporate job, right? You guys could probably back up what I'm about to say. But anybody who's worked a job that has a pretty big HR department, they can have all this stuff around their department. They can have all this kumbaya bullshit, right? All around the department. But you know and I know that most people view most of the people in HR as complete fucking psychopaths. Most of them are some of the worst people in the company. Most of them are some of the people that you can't even speak to. Like they just have no social skills. They have no communication skills whatsoever, ironically. They're just some of the worst people in the entire company on average. And this happens pretty much almost everywhere. And it's because people that work at HR somehow feel invincible to all the social rules that they put on everybody else. They're also the ones that talk about all your private business to everybody at the company because they know everybody's business, because obviously it's HR, right? So they know everybody's like, you know, whatever little personal conversations that happen and things like that. Because women gossip, so it literally gets out to everybody. Everybody. It's like they're literally some of the worst people in most of these companies. And yet they're the first ones to be like, yeah, HR should be in charge because like we know people and we're so liked. We love everybody. We're so cool. We're a great team. Like nobody believes you, bro.
People are at the heart of every business challenge and every business opportunity that we'll face in the future.
Sure.
And we are the experts and people in our organizations. Or at least we should be.
But clearly, based on the comments I've read and what I've seen in the industry, this is not the case. Because game makers aren't happy. And it's simple.
Right.
Makers are happiest when they are making. They don't want endless meetings about safe spaces. Okay, they want to obsess over their art or their code. They don't want an environment where they feel like they're walking on eggshells. And people just can't work that way. It creates environments with no soul and no passion.
True.
It broke my heart when I read this comment from an environment artist.
Uh-oh.
I am a yes man, and so are the rest of my coworkers. It feels like I really can't give honest feedback or push back. I've seen so many others fired or written up to the point that everyone stays quiet now so they can keep their jobs.
That's crazy.
How great of a game are you going to make when you're in an environment that is...
Imagine having to work like that. Imagine having to work like that where you're so tied that you can't say a single fucking thing. And all you have to do is just sit there and be a good yes man while you watch everything else burn around you. It's toxic positivity at its finest, man. It's literally what it is. And the sad thing is that probably 95%, if I had to put a number on it, I know it might sound crazy, but probably 95% of the people that work in corporate gaming right now, AAA gaming, are probably feeling exactly like that. Pretty much.
So toxic that the only way to keep your job is to sit quietly and watch the circus around you.
Right, and the circus ends up causing studio layoffs, so you end up getting fired anyway. All you do is end up delaying your inevitable firing instead of trying to say something and risking your job. That's all you're doing. It's just you're just delaying the inevitable.
And it's not just feedback on the work. It hits performance too. Performance feedback from managers. A few years ago, I was having coffee with a friend and he told me this story. He told me that he asked one of his engineers to give him a heads up the next time he had a doctor's appointment because his engineer had disappeared at lunch and missed a deadline, and the rest of the team had to crunch in order to cover for him. Completely reasonable request from my perspective. Well, apparently not. My friend was pulled into an HR office and told that that wasn't allowed, that he wasn't allowed to ask his staff to give him a heads up before they disappeared from the office. And something similar actually happened to me. I had this employee who wasn't performing well. The whole team knew it. I had mountains of email. It had been going on for weeks. I'd spoken to the person. I was trying to coach them through it, but it wasn't working. And my goal was to get this person moved into a role that actually took advantage of their knowledge. They were just out of their depth. I had seen them perform in the past, but they were in the wrong role. And my whole team knew it. Instead of helping me land this person like my previous HR would have, they actually decided I was the problem. And so HR pulled me into a meeting. I'll call it a struggle session, really, to pressure me to change my mind. To tell them that the person was no problem and that we weren't going to make any changes. Of course, I refused because she had no data to contradict what I was saying.
Wow.
But I didn't last that much longer in that role, and I've often thought that that was the start of the end for me in that particular position. So I understand the many comments.
Well, that's another thing too, right? If you have a disagreement with HR, let's say you're somebody who is upper management, whatever. You have a disagreement with HR, that's it. Like, you may not get fired that day, but now you are the target now. So now they're going to find any reason to slowly but surely work you out of the company. They're going to find whatever way they can to get you out of there, one way or another. Because unfortunately, when you have positions of power that are held by women, the moment you have a disagreement and they don't like you, that's it. That's it. Men can work with other men they don't like, as long as the common goal is achieved and both men get what they want. With women, it doesn't matter if the woman that they hate is the best person for the job and could get both of them more money. It doesn't matter. The moment they don't like you, it is over. And they're going to do everything they can to try to get you out. Even if it'll fuck over their company, even if it'll make things worse, it doesn't matter. Because they have to get their revenge. It's all about feeling better about it. It's fucking crazy, bro.
On the channel from people who are like, I'm not going to push back. I don't want to lose my job. And I agree.
Yeah, you end up losing your job anyway.
You shouldn't take that risk unless you can afford to do so. I push back for two reasons. The first was because it was my job. Okay. If the leader isn't going to stand up for the team, who is? And why do you even have...
Wait, leader? I thought there was no female leaders before the wokies came in and said that they changed the gaming industry. How the hell were you a leader so long ago? I thought that didn't happen. I thought it was all white men that were in charge. Obviously, I'm being sarcastic, people. Let's go. Let's relax.
Job. And the second most important reason is because it was the right thing to do. I mean, think about it. If nobody pushes back, then you end up with what we have today, broken cultures. Okay, broken cultures that my comments are filled with. You have game teams that aren't making great games because they can't discuss what's wrong with them out of fear. And a team that can't discuss the work, they're not going to succeed. Sure, in a big company, it might take a while, but they will eventually fail. And you're seeing it already. So things have definitely changed over the last 20 years.
Look at Ubisoft.
And that's because HR...
Damn, go back. Go back. Hold on. Wait a second.
But they will eventually fail. And you're seeing it already. So things have definitely changed.
Damn, Laura Fire, man. You didn't have to do Ubisoft dirty like this. You didn't have to do Ubisoft dirty like this. Shit, she highlighted the minus 89.45% overall in the Ubisoft stock. Going from a high of 102 all the way down to $5.38. Ouch, man. Imagine investing in Ubisoft when it was at $102 and now it's worth 5 cents. How felted are you? Like, are you basically like about to jump off the bridge, or like what's going on here? Damn, bro, that's crazy.
Over the last 20 years. And that's because HR decided they didn't want the day-to-day work of serving the team. They wanted to be strategic. They wanted to control the culture. And too many leaders said, okay, sure, go right ahead. You can hear it in their voices, in their own words at events like Disrupt HR and in industry talks. They talk about becoming the chief disruption officers, taking over culture and moving from order takers to the people who decide how the whole company runs. They're not hiding the power grab, okay? They're proud of it. And this little conference, Disrupt HR, it has exploded.
You know what's one thing I noticed? I don't know if you guys noticed this too, but a lot of former developers have essentially become like influencers or like YouTubers or whatever. Like David Jaffe, for example, even though nobody likes him. Laura Fryer's another one too. Obviously, you have some journalists that have tried to become YouTubers too. Have you guys noticed that they almost never reference Laura Fryer? Why is that? They reference David Jaffe. When he says things that they agree with or disagree with, they reference him. But they almost never reference Laura Fryer. Why is that? Considering she has more experience than pretty much almost anybody. She was part of some of the most popular franchises. Like Gears of War, for example. She was there. Why is that? I'm gonna tell you why, in my opinion. I think the reason why they don't reference Laura Fryer in pretty much anything, even though they definitely could. She's like a great haven for information. They don't reference her because she's what I call a narrative destroyer. She's a narrative destroyer, right? So what do I mean by that? So she's a woman, number one, who doesn't seem to agree wholeheartedly 100% with what they say all the time. Not that she doesn't, agree. Not that she agrees with us all the time either. But she's a narrative destroyer. She's a woman that was in charge of a massive studio, by the way, an Xbox studio, in charge of a massive IP like Gears of War. And she was in charge decades ago. She was in charge at a time where journos were trying to convince you that women in leadership or women in gaming didn't exist. That women only existed in gaming recently. That it was a white man's world. Decades ago, it was a white man's world or whatever. Meanwhile, here you have Laura Fryer, who was a leader for fucking decades. And she never gets referenced. They barely talk about what she says, if they talk about her at all. Just saying. I'm just saying. It's pretty obvious, Anyway, let's keep going.
Across the globe. And we've seen the results. Honest disagreement got labeled dangerous. The creative weirdos who obsess over games until 4 a.m. either got filtered out or learned to stay quiet.
Yep.
And what's left is a lot of people walking on eggshells.
HR got all the power in the world, and then HR got rid of the nerds. That's what it is. HR got rid of the nerds that were actually making video games, and then they brought in their friends that wanted nothing to do with the games industry until they found out how much money they can make in the games industry. And then they're like, okay, well, I could do that. Sounds like a pretty sweet job. You mean to tell me I get to sit on my ass all day and pretty much never get held accountable for anything? And you're going to have my back, right? Right, Emily? Over at HR, you're going to have my back, right? They got rid of the nerds. Because the nerds were just a little bit too toxic. You know why? Because if you went to the nerds and say, hey, we should change this. And the nerd is like, well, that's fucking stupid. That goes against this, and this. Well, the HR ladies, they were like, well, we want to change it. And so Emily was like, no, we got to change it. And the nerds are like, no, we can't change it. That's lore. They got rid of him. That's what it was. They got rid of him. It's crazy.
Great games have always needed friction, but let me be clear, not toxicity,
fucking Emily,
not
man.
Personal attacks, just honest debate about the work. This isn't good enough. This idea is broken.
True.
We can do better. A developer on my channel put it perfectly. Small teams that get along don't even call it friction. It's called Tuesday. That used to be normal. If feathers got ruffled in a meeting, you'd grab to 2 people afterwards and you'd work it out. Get some apologies if needed and a commitment to do better.
You say Augie's going to have to commit to something.
You definitely need to have a thick skin.
But look, it's not hopeless, and it doesn't have to stay that way. Some companies are actually figuring it out. The CEO of Bolt fired his entire HR department.
Let's go!
And, we had an HR team, right? And that HR team was creating problems.
Yes!
That didn't exist.
Yes.
And in what regard?
And those problems disappeared when I let them go.
Yes, space. It's literally that, bro. That's literally what we've been saying the entire time. Like, holy fuck, somebody finally got it, bro. So, like, the sip, bro. Oh my god, bro. I got goosebumps when I heard that. But he was like, I fired them and all the problems went away. Gee, I wonder why that is. I wonder why that. I want to hear that again. Oh, I want to hear that again. I wonder why that is.
Fired his entire HR department.
Bro.
And, we had an HR team, right? And that HR team was creating problems that didn't exist.
And in what regard?
And those problems disappeared when I let them go.
Yes.
And this is the way, right? We need.
Notice how the women in the crowd started laughing when he said that. It's because these bitches know that they're like, yeah, we kind of do that. The fuck out. Get out.
More of this kind of courage. We need leaders to take back their teams. Hire people who still want to make great games. Make it safe for them to debate and tell the truth about the work. Right now, you have all these talented people biting their tongues and going completely numb. It's not sustainable. Okay, the games are suffering for it. The players.
I wonder how much hate she's going to get for this video. I wonder.
Can feel it. And
they'll never talk about it. They'll never talk about it. They'll reference it probably privately in their studios. They'll be like, this fucking bitch Laura Fryer, she made another video. Oh my God, can you believe it? Now she's calling out HR. Can you believe it?
I think it's time for a change.
I think so too. I agree.
Did you realize they're talking to a room of HR leaders?
That's why
they're very, very curious.
That's why I prefaced multiple times reading the room. I can't say that I would advise the same in a large company.
Do you see what she did though? Do you see what she did? She said, you realize you're talking to a room of HR leaders and that's exactly the point. We're making sure that you understand that most of you guys are fucking useless. That most of you guys are there to cause problems. And that when we let you go, suddenly things got magically better. Gee, I wonder why that is. How the hell did things get better by firing an entire team? It almost seems as if that team was the problem. And maybe as HR leaders, if you even want to call yourself that, maybe perhaps you would realize that he's onto something. You know what I mean? Maybe you would realize he's onto something. But of course, they'll never admit that. They'll never take accountability. And it's always going to be someone else's fault. So, this was a great video by Laura Fryer. This is a really good expose on HR as a whole. She definitely cooked with this one. Even Tiger King is going to admit that she cooked. I know he is. I have faith that Tiger King, who despises everything, even he's going to say she cooked on this video. I think this is a cooked video for sure. 100%. Great video by Laura Fryer. I'm going to link it. I'm going to link it in the chat for you guys so you can check it out and put it in the description of the clip. That way you guys can check it out. Give her some support, especially on this video. It was very good. This was a W.